So we are going to start with the next topic for the day, that is what is full virtualization versus para virtualization. In the last lecture, we have already seen that what do you mean by hardware virtualization, which is categorized into three: full, para, and partial virtualization. So we are going to just conclude this as these are the two virtualizations which are mostly used in virtualization techniques. So the first we are going to start with full virtualization. So if I talk about full virtualization, here you are going to virtualize each and everything. Your computer hardware, your software, your operating system, everything is going to be virtualized. So this act as a effective and effective way of virtualizing the things, where you virtualize the computer services and you separate those computer services from the physical hardware, and then you provide the service. So that is your full virtualization. If I talk about para virtualization, it is enhancement, you can say, or extension to virtualization technology, where your guest operating system will be recompiled before they are installed in the virtual machine. You have to remember this in para. This is the thing which makes para virtualization different from other techniques. Okay, so here your guest operating system is going to be recompiled. It is going to be compiled again before you install them into the VM. Okay, in full virtualization, the guest operating system executes independently, but in para, it needs to communicate with hypervisor all the time, because hypervisor is the one which will help you to do the virtualization. It will help you to manage your guest operating system. So everything is going to be communicated with the help of the hypervisor. Last, in full virtualization, the guest operating system issues hardware calls in case it wants to access the hardware. In Para, it doesn't require as such because it directly communicates with the hypervisors, and that is done by updating the drivers or with the help of the drivers which are available that helps them to access the hardware. So this is a quick recap of full virtualization versus para virtualization. So the choice is yours at the end of the day, that which virtualization technique you want to opt for, whether you want to go for a full virtualization or you want to go for a para virtualization. Because these are the two techniques which are mostly used whenever we talk about hardware virtualization. Let's move to the next topic. So now we are moving to the software virtualization. We have already done with the hardware virtualization, which was categorized into three: full, para, and partial. Now we are going to move to the software virtualization. So software virtualization here simply means that here you are going to virtualize or create the virtual version of your softwares, your applications, whichever you need into your day-to-day life. Okay. So whatever applications you want, and those applications are going to take off much of your memory, or they are going to take a lot of memory space, and you want to avoid that, then you can go for this option, that is software virtualization. So basically we are going to start with the first, that is operating system virtualization. So basically it refers that you are going to virtualize your operating systems. You are going to make sure that you're going to install the image files of the each, or you can say operating system image files, then you're going to do the virtualization of the same. So here we are going to install the softwares into your operating systems, just like the way we do into the other applications or the computers whenever you want to have it. Okay, but the advantage here is that, once you do this software virtualization, it will help you to have a direct access to the virtual machines which you are going to create it. Okay, and your host operating system, the host machine which is there, it will also give you some hardware devices. It is giving you some, you can say, a freedom to virtualize the operating system. At times, since there is incompatibility issues, then you may suffer from hardware issues, but otherwise, if your drivers are updated, then in that case, the problem will not arise. So here you're going to do what? You're going to do the virtualization of your operating system. You're going to virtualize, you're going to create the virtual version of your operating system, and then you're going to run your applications over that virtualized operating system. So you can see over the diagram, you have your hardware, that is a virtualization host. So your original host machine, you're going to create the virtualization of it, that is your operating system. Then you can have your virtual machine manager, which is going to manage it. VMM is important whenever you talk about virtualization. VMM and hypervisor. These are the two things which are very much important, which helps you to do virtualization and helps you to manage your applications, your operating system, your guest machines, your host machine, everything is going to be managed. On the top, you can see there are different VMs and there are guest operating systems along with the application softwares are running. So you can have multiple guest operating system. The choice is yours, or either you can have same. That actually depends on how you are going to do the virtualization. So the initial, as we know, the base is always the hardware, which is your virtualization host hardware. Then you have your VMM, and this is VMM is going to manage, or it is going to interface between the virtualization between your guest operating system applications and your hardware. So because you always need to interface it, you always need to make sure that there is a proper mapping in virtualization as well, because you are creating a virtual version of the original or actual system. So you always have to take care that everything is mapped properly. There is a proper hardware, there is a VMM which is helping you to manage that hardware with the guest operating system and all the applications which are installed into that guest OS. So that all needs to manage at every point of time. So this is the very first software virtualization technique, that is operating system virtualization. Just simply remember, this virtualization technique will help you to create the virtual version of your operating systems. Okay. And then this operating systems, once you are done, you can install your applications, your softwares, and then you can run from it. It's just like your VMware which you install, and in the VMware you have your own operating system and you have your applications running over it. So this was the first, that is your operating system. So the next second we have software virtualization. You have is program level virtualization or programming level virtualization. So here basically when we talk about programming level, whatever codes you have run, they are going to deploy, they are going to be managed. You are going to check them across different platforms, across different operating systems. So that simply refers to programming level virtualization. All your programs, your codes, your snippets, everything is going to be deployed using different softwares or applications, and you're going to check that portability across different platforms. Okay, so basically here it is also going to consist of the virtual machines which is going to run your codes or your program, and there is going to be a compilation process which depends on what software you are using. So the all the compilers, all the representation of machine code, everything is going to be managed well by your VMM. You just have to have the software installed and you should have the code with you. That is all the requirement. If you have this, then you can run it and you can get your outputs in the virtualization environment as well. Okay. So if I talk about programming level virtualization, it actually deals with different programming structures, different programming language, the softwares, everything else are going to be here, and this is going to be run on the virtual platform. Initially, we used to have working it on a physical platform, but when you are replicating the same thing and doing it on a virtual platform, then it is called as programming level virtualization. So in virtualized environment, whenever you are installing the software and you are running the code on that virtual machine or on your VMware, that is simply referred as programming level virtualization. Right? That is application level virtualization. Okay, so when we talk about the word application, it simply means the software that are going to be run on the virtual version of virtual operating system. So here it will allow your applications to run in the runtime environment, but the runtime environment will be in the virtual version. Okay, so it is not going to be on the actual, but it is on the virtual version. So here you cannot expect your applications to be installed in the runtime environment, but if all your applications are going to be installed on your VMLs or your guest operating system. Okay, so basically, if I talk about application level virtualization, where you're using different applications or software, then you want to take care of three things: partial file system, like which are the file store, what is your location, that is your partial file system. Libraries which are required for running that application, that is the second thing that needs to be concerned for. And third is operating system emulation, that is nothing but creating a virtual version of your OS. So when you are going for application level virtualization, you have to take care of these three things, that these three things has to be in place. Like where your file systems are there, they are partially there, so you have to make sure that where is the file system, you have to locate that, because your application needs this reference. If you are not locating the file system, your applications won't run. Again, you need to link your libraries also, because it is a virtual version, right? In physical machine, it is easy for you to search and you have to do it. But in virtualization, it is not that easy. So you have to take care of this, all the things. Again, you have to look into that whatever application you are going to virtualize, what operating system is required by that application, because some applications specifically work on those operating system only. If that is so, then you have to take care of that as well. So to the concerns which are there, if you want to resolve that concerns, then you have two techniques here. The first is interpretation technique. So here all your source instructions which are there, which are executing your all your ISA instructions, everything is are going to be managed by the interpreter. Okay. Second is a binary translation. Your all your source instructions which are there, it is going to be converted into native instructions. Native simply here refers to whatever is going to be understand by the system, it is going to convert into that. That is called as native, old instructions. Okay. All your block of instructions which are there, it is going to be translated, it is going to be reused and cached as well if it is required. Okay. Problem here is in binary translation also you need a large overhead cost. Okay. But if you want to have a good better performance and you don't want to get yourself into like linking all the time, managing your OS, managing your libraries, if you don't want, then you can go with this either of these techniques. Either you can go for interpretation, or either you can go for binary translation, or either you can go for both of them. Because linking is something which is very much important when you talk about application level virtualization. It is easy in the physical devices, but if you're going for a virtual devices, in that case it is very much difficult, because you are not going to deal with one or two applications. There can be n number of applications also that needs to be installed on your VMs. So it is difficult for you to do the linking, you to check for the file system, check for the operating system. So basically, to avoid this, you can have these two techniques, and with these two techniques, you can make sure that all your applications, all your instructions are already converted into which is understandable by that virtual system, and it is easily linked as well. So that is all about your application level virtualization. Next, we are moving to is the virtualization, that is storage virtualization. So simply it refers to that whatever you are storing, whatever is your storage facilities, everything you're going to maintain under a virtual version of it or under a single logical file. So there is no physical storage here. Here the storage which is going to be on the virtual basis, or it is, you can say in other words, it is a logical file system. So in here you're going to store it just like we have a cloud storage. That is the best example I can quote every time when you talk about storage virtualization, where you are virtually storing all your data over your virtual storage mechanism, that is your cloud storage. So here you're not going to look into the actual or physical, you can say, storage mechanism, or you're going to look for a storage area, but rather you're going to store it over the virtual environment. Because when you are storing over your a cloud, or you can say on the virtual version, then you can easily scale, you can easily share, you can make it easily available. The physical medium always comes with some sort of limitation with respect to storage, so it is always not suggested that when you have to store a large amount of data or massive amount of data, then you should go for a physical storage mechanism. Rather you should go for a storage virtualization, or storing your resources over the virtual version or virtual clouds, you can say in other words. Okay, we have given one more a network based virtualization example, that is SAN, that is storage area network. So here you can store your resources, you can store your data, everything over your network devices, and this is something which will give you a larger bandwidth and it can provide you storage facilities. So simply refers whenever you're virtualizing or whenever you're storing your data on the virtual servers which are not logical, which are logical in nature, sorry, and which are not physical servers, then they are referred as storage virtualization. So here you can store your piece of data, your files, your resources, everything you can store, and all which you are going to store, it is going to be stored on the virtual space. Okay, that is not a physical space. That is a virtual space, and with this virtual space, you can manage and you can do the things as per your requirement. Okay, so here many overheads are actually reduced, managing the data, checking of the data availability, like with respect to size, like if the size is going ending soon, so you have to move think for the another physical space. So many overhead which are there with the physical storage mechanism, it is actually eliminated with the storage virtualization. Okay, you also no need to remember the location where your data is stored. You have just one big space, virtual space, and you are keep dumping the things over there, and you are just having an access to it whenever it is required. So this is all about your storage virtualization. So next we have this network virtualization. So if I talk about network, it is going to combine your all your hardware applications, it is going to combine your software applications together, and then it is going to manage the virtual network. Because if you're talking about a network, it consists of both your hardware and software both. So you have to aggregate your physical networks, whatever you are using, into single or logical network. Okay, so here you're going to provide functionalities with respect to your network, the operating system, partitioning, or any internal network virtualization. If it is required, then you can do the same. Okay, the best example of network virtualization is VLAN. Okay, that stands for the virtual local area network. So here you can combine different hosts that are communicating with each other, and you can represent them as a single host. Okay, the broadcast channel can be same or it can be different depending on whatever is your requirement, but you're going to aggregate, you're going to combine different hosts and you're going to represent them as just one. Okay, so mostly if we talk about network virtualization, it refers to internal network virtualization, where you are going to combine your hardware, your software, your operating systems, your guests, everything else are going to be combined together, and you will be given just a single network interface with you, of which you are going to communicate with. So network virtualization, it help you to connect to the network. It will give you and hardware and software together. It will make sure that all your different networks are aggregated, which are usually are working on a physical network, but you are representing them as one, and you are representing it through the uh, virtual networks, which appear to be as one. So the best example of network virtualization is VLAN, as I've already told you before, which is very much prominently used when you think of providing a virtual network services to the consumers. So the next we have is desktop virtualization. So whenever you are abstracting your desktop environment over your personal computers or laptops, okay, it is just like your client server approach, where you will have your server somewhere located, and you as a client, you are asking for a virtual version of an interface, and you are connecting with your servers remotely, and you are doing the task that is usually referred as desktop virtualization. Okay, so again it requires same outcome, like you need a hardware virtualization, you need the set of operating systems, you need your software applications, which will help you to connect with your remote servers. So that is again required, that if you talk about. Only the thing is, like whenever you talk about desktop virtualization, you can connect with any system at any point of time. Okay, but your host has to be installed, and this host should give you a software through which you can remotely access to the other machine with the help of the network. Okay, so this is something which is very much important. And most of the time now, most of the companies, those who are going from work from home, they are usually going for a desktop virtualization only, where they are remotely accessing the desktop or the environment. Okay, and they are connecting their machine with the remote servers, and with that they are getting their work done. So that is all about your desktop virtualization, where you are abstracting, you can say, or you are virtualizing the desktop environment, your applications, or your softwares, your operating system, everything. When you are virtualizing it, then it is called as desktop virtualization. Okay, so it is just a client server approach. There will be a remote server and there will be a remote client as well. There will be one software interface through which you have to log in your credentials, and you will be connected to that network, and you will get the access to your uh, desktop, or you can say your personal computer, where all your resources are will be placed, and you are going to remotely have an access to it. Okay, so just a simple example I can give you, that is just like your team viewer we have it, that is also the best example of desktop virtualization. So next we have is application server virtualization. Okay, so basically it simply refers to that you are going to have many app servers which are running different applications. Okay, with the help of virtualization, you can represent it different servers which are working together as just one server. Okay, even you can adopt some load balancing strategies, like and just on the one server, the entire load or managing of all the applications should not be there. There will be different servers which the load will be balanced equally, so that your servers can work in a proper way, and they can give you an end-to-end service. So basically in application server virtualization, you just need to remember one thing. Here there are going to be multiple application servers which are going to be connected together, and they are going to be represented as just one application server by using the different load balancing strategies, where the load of the server will be equally managed, you can say, amongst the different servers. Like if there is 10 servers and there is load of 1,000, so in that case you will be allotting 100 to each of them, and you will be balancing the load. Okay, so basically this technique is somewhat similar to the storage virtualization. Just only the thing is like here you're going to emulate the different environment. You can have your different virtualization of the servers are going to be more here rather than emulating the operating systems and hosts. So here you're going to emulate or you're going to create a virtual versions of your servers which will help to run the application over this server. So there are going to be multiple application servers which are going to be represented as single with the help of virtual application technique. So we'll take this topic tomorrow, that is virtualization versus cloud computing. Since we have already understood now well what is virtualization and what is cloud computing, so we are going to take a quick difference between or comparison between the two in the next lecture. That's it for the day. Thank you, everyone.